If we go by the Old Testament, guess what? That is correct. 100. You're right. 100%. You're right. You can have a wife and a concubine. And guess what? Because the Old Testament recognizes your concubine, but the New Testament doesn't. Two different.
Okay, so who changed the old to the new? Was it man or God?
Guess
You want
what?
to
The Christians said that Jesus is God. So they said it's God that did it.
ask you again my
You know
same
what's funny?
question. So who changed the old to the new? Was it man or God?
According to the Christians, they said it's God.
I'm gonna say it's God. Yeah. Well, I don't
Using that
understand
same King
how
James
would it
Bible,
how
using
would it
that
not be
same King
God?
James Bible, there was 47 to 50 scholars licensed by King James, the man that wrote the book he was known for, that evil prophecy sorcery book, to have 47 to 50 of the greatest minds reinterpret that Bible.
Kenny,
So
you're 100% correct. You are 100% correct. But guess what? We're talking about Christians, right? This
Yeah,
is
I
what
want
the
to see
Christians
Adam and
said.
Eve's marriage license. That's what I want to see. I want to see Adam and Eve's marriage license. I want to see Abraham and Sarah's marriage license.
Well,
When you show me
here's
that,
the
then
You
then it
don't need
makes
a
total
here's
license.
the
You don't need
thing.
a
I
license to be
think
married.
that
What you got to do is that you have two people as a witness. Hey, Cloud, if you go, do you have a girlfriend, Cloud?
Yep.
Okay, you see Kenny, you see Vis, you see I, right? And JL. And then maybe your siblings, your family members, and a half family member, and you bring us all together and say you're going to marry that this girl is your wife. Not that you're going to marry her, but now she's your wife. She is your wife. Because when two people or three bear witness, right? You've established something. So if you bring her and tell us that that's your wife, you do not need any certificate. That's what I'm saying.
So I'm
But you got
correct.
to call her your wife.
So you're saying I'm right, essentially, that you don't need a piece of paper
That is
to.
why I'm saying that, but you have to, but remember what I said last, you have to call her your wife. As long as you call her your wife, that's it.
yeah, I think that we're ignoring the
Good.
fact that with it being documented like that is creating a structure. If things aren't structured, is going to fall apart. We
and
we can
again,
we can talk about
I'm the
we can talk about having verbal contracts and agreements all day, but we all know that anyone at any time could easily break a verbal agreement and there not
anyone
be
can break a
any.
marriage.
I get that, but it's more to it than just that piece of paper, though. Like,
Yeah,
and
lawyers get
I think
paid
that
and lawyers get rich. That's the only difference. Is some lawyers can get rich in the
No,
process.
yes,
that's true. Viz, what
so
you said, Viz,
maybe because I don't look at it from a perspective of fear, because it to me it sounds
I think
like
people get married because of fear. So you're saying you don't see it from a perspective of fear, and that's interesting because I genuinely believe the reason why people want to get married so bad is because they're afraid. They're afraid they're going to lose their person. They're afraid the person's going to cheat. They're afraid that if they don't sign a contract with the person, that they can't incentivize them to stay. Usually, the reason why people are getting married is fear. They're not getting married because so people try to frame it like, oh, the guy who doesn't want to get married is afraid. Really? The guy
I mean
who's sleeping
that's what
alone.
it sounds like if y'all are
You know why that
basing it
doesn't make sense?
literally off of a
You,
paper.
you know
Y'all,
why that the reason why that doesn't make sense is because being alone is way more something way more worthy of being fearful than being in a relationship. You get what I'm saying? So technically, the person who's alone is walking into fear because they're taking a risk of being alone and having nobody. The person who needs to be married is a person who cannot be by themselves most of the time, and they need that contract to feel safe because they're deathly afraid that they will be alone and be left and won't have any leverage over the situation. And that's being honest. That's really why most people get married. But again, people love to cast it as though the guy who doesn't want to get married is fearful. No, it has nothing to do with fear. It's a contract that doesn't benefit you. And if you're someone who's wise people don't make decisions that don't benefit them. It doesn't make sense. But you will make a decision that doesn't benefit you if you're afraid. You're afraid of losing your woman, afraid she'll sleep with somebody else, afraid she'll take the kids away, afraid that you won't be able
that's
to,
not true though, because
afraid you won't have an apartment to live. So y'all got to live together to be able to afford the mortgage. That's really why people should get married if we're keeping it honest.
you said that's why they get married, or that's why they
The
should.
majority, the majority why they really get married is because they're afraid. A lot of dudes will be with their girl for 10 years, and the moment they think she's gonna leave, that's when they propose to her. You want to know why?
That's a
Because they're
fact.
afraid she's gonna leave. Let me
Wait,
propose to her
yeah,
now
but
because I'm scared.
clearly they're getting married for the wrong reason, though, Cloud.
Which is
Let's
most
keep it a
people.
buck here.
Which is most
Let's
people.
keep it a buck here. So
Most people get married for the wrong reason. Let's be
in
honest.
those same situations, scenarios that you just created, that could easily happen if you're not married. So again, to people that actually want to get married, that the government being involved, her walking away and having to pay this and pay that. One of us not worried about that. They're not thinking about that because they
I don't
love that
believe that.
person. You say
If
you
you're
what?
melancholy and believe that can't happen to you, you can get back
Who
door to
said
any time.
you're speaking out of fear, because who said that can't happen? I just
I'm
said that
speaking
can
out of fear
happen.
or logic.
I just said that can happen if you're married or not. It doesn't
So
matter.
you saying that just made a case for everything being relative, having the paper or not having the paper. So we're setting the same standards, and I'm saying it out of logic, not fear, because I am looking at the
That sounds like fear,
risk
because I know
versus
plenty
reward.
of
That's fair.
extremely successful marriages,
Nah.
and they're not worried about a sheet of paper or the government getting involved.
Okay. Do you know them?
That's literally all that you're basing this off of,
What?
and that's not what it's about.
Okay.
That's
What
not
am I
what marriage
basing
is
it
about.
off of? You said I'm basing it off of one thing.
About her taking half your money, you getting on child support and all this other shit. That's literally your argument to it
That's
all.
my whole argument.
That's your whole argument. That's
So
literally your whole
so
argument about marriage.
So let me pose a question. Is the marriage contract from when we went over it statistically, is it a good contract to sign if you have no protectors? God forbid a woman shows you a false representation of herself. Is it a good contract to sign if you don't put the necessary safeguards within that contract and just leave it all up to love?
So you should not be marrying somebody that you're not 100% committed and official. That you know that this is what this person is genuinely, and that you're willing to invest everything into it.
So you didn't answer the question.
Any person should be mindful of the contract that they sign, because you're bound to this contract. So I think if a man or woman has went about the route to properly vet this person, and they know that they're ready to do this, then absolutely they should sign it. Why
So
not?
you're married, Viz, right?
I'm engaged.
Okay. Or you signed a prenup?
Yeah.
Okay. So you made the necessary safeguards. So you saying that just leave it all up to this, that, and the third. I'm not thinking about that on the back end. You just debunked everything you said by saying that you're gonna sign a prenup. You know that, right?
No, we have kids outside of each other. So
Okay, but you said earlier that you should be 100% committed to this person. And you said we were doing out of fear. We were speaking out of fear. And I said, I'm speaking out of logic. If you do a certain thing and you don't have any safeguards to protect yourself, God forbid a woman is showing a false representation of who she is, you fought against that. But then
how?
me asking you, the man who has a fiance, if you're putting safeguards in place or just leaving it to God and love, you said, nah, I have a prenup that I'm gonna care for before we get wedded. So you just like abolished the whole thing that you just said.